Welcome to episode number 255 of the Marine Layer podcast. We welcome on Jared Carrabis from Baseball is Dead and the Section 10 podcast. We talk about the state of the Red Sox, which, wow, has in fact changed since we recorded this interview on Thursday. Rafael Devers is now a San Francisco Giant in just a bizarre turn of events. We'll have something to talk about that as well. We also talk with Jared about some potential Mariners trade targets at the deadline and the return of Section 10 over the past year.
Here's your guys' reminder. Make sure you're staying on top of all of our stuff. If you want to do that, you can go right over to marinelayerpod.com. That's our website where you're going to find everything you need to find, whether it's your merch, your Patreon subscription, which you can do right over there. We'd love to have you get involved. We'd love to see you guys repping the merch around the ballpark. We've already seen a bunch of it. It's been awesome. All our episodes are over on our website. So again, it's a one-stop shop for everything Marine Layer Pod related. That's marinelayerpod.com. And then you can find us all across social media at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Occidental. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. One run from Jansen. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment. Tie ball game at 7-7.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network. Recording on Sunday evening, June 15th. The Mariners sweep over the weekend. We'll have a lot more to talk about that and the series against the Red Sox. Coming up on Wednesday's episode, we have a fantastic conversation upcoming with Jared Carrabis. But like Lyle, we do need to really address the elephant in the room that happened less than 30 minutes ago. I think our week just changed.
Yeah, it just changed. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. And there's going to be some cursing coming in the first few minutes, so just prepare yourselves. I just gave everybody fair warning. Why the fuck weren't the Mariners in on Rafael Devers?
Can you at least give the background before you start screaming?
Fine. Rafael Devers just got traded to the San Francisco Giants from the Boston Red Sox. He has 9.5 years remaining on his contract. They are paying just over $26 million a year for the remainder of the 9.5 years of one of the best hitters in all of baseball, in Rafael Devers. He just got traded to the Giants. The Mariners clearly did not pull the trigger.
No, they didn't. And this, I will preface everything we're about to say with this right here, that we don't have any information on this. So this is pure speculation coming from myself and Lyle. This is not fact. This is speculation and opinion right now. But yeah, taking a look at the fact that the Red Sox just traded away their second best player for a starter who's been among the worst starters in all of baseball this year, and Jordan Hicks got moved back to the bullpen. Kyle Harrison, who's not been great this year, former top prospect. The Giants' first-round pick from last year, James Tibbs, not a top 100 guy. Fun prospect, but not a top 100 prospect. And Jose Bayo. Ravi Devers is one of the 15 best hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And it was that and a lot of cash to pay for that upcoming contract. And the Giants did win this. The Giants have shown they're willing to pay for big contracts. But of course, Lyle, we're going to come at this from a Mariners perspective. And when I see this, and we know the Mariners and Red Sox, as we talk about in length with Jared Carrabis in this podcast, about their trade talks this offseason with Luis Castillo, with Tristan Casas, with Masataka Yoshida. Like, that was very real. I mean, Carrabis backs it up from the Red Sox side on that one. The two sides had conversations about corner infielders just this offseason. So when you see another Red Sox corner infielder getting moved in season, like, the main question that comes to my mind is, like, were the Mariners in on this? Because, like, it's pretty clear they need a third baseman and they need a first baseman right now, wherever you would decide to put Rafael Devers. Were you in on it? Was this even? My question is: is this something you think is realistic right away? Like, do you think you have a chance at this? My assumption to this answer is no. They did not think so for a number of reasons. Most of them coming from within their own organization of why it's not reasonable. Because in terms of package, yeah, absolutely they could have done it.
Can you wrap up your logic here, please? You're boring people with your logic. People want to hear us rant and rave about why the fuck they weren't in on this.
The floor is yours.
Yes. Like, how many times do you get the opportunity to trade for one of the game's best hitters for the next 9 years? When Devers signs a contract like that, you assume he's retiring with a Boston hat on his head. And he just signed it a couple years ago. So when all of a sudden he's out on the market and you've got a chance to trade for this guy, when it costs you essentially a guy that got yanked out of the rotation in San Francisco and a former top prospect that's really struggling, I mean, yes, of course the package has to do with the fact that you have to eat the money, but you know what? Rafael Devers is making just over $26 million for the next 9.5 years. The Mariners are currently paying Mitch Garver and Mitch Haniger over $27 million a year. Both those guys are off the books at the end of 2025. I would like a serious explanation for why they weren't in on this, if they weren't in on it. Are we going to get an explanation if they were in on this? No. I mean, they're not going to make that public.
No, we're not, but you know exactly the reason. You know it.
Right? Of course I know the reason. But then I also say you're okay paying the Mitches $27 million, but you're not going to pay Rafi 26.
Which makes no sense. You're right. It makes absolutely no sense. It's stupid. Here's the question: do you want to know whether or not they were in it?
Yes.
Do you think it'll make you feel better?
Yes, it would, because it means they tried. If they made an attempt and got outbid by the Giants, or the Red Sox just didn't want to send them somewhere else in the American League, yes, it would make me feel better. Because that would show us that the Mariners were willing to eat serious money for a superstar player, and they attempted to make their roster significantly better for the next decade. But if they sat on their hands, yes, you should be more mad if they didn't even try. Everybody should be more mad if they didn't even try than if they tried and fell short.
Probably 25 teams in baseball should have been in on this.
And when you're the Mariners and you are desperate for offense, for star power offense, for corner infield star power offense. And by the way, this contract isn't that ridiculous at this point. When you've got Juan Soto, who's a DH, I'm not even fucking calling that guy a right fielder. He's a DH. Juan Soto's a DH. He signed for $765 million. Rafael Devers making $26 million a year is far from egregious at this point. And by the way, you know what age he is when that contract's up? 36 years old.
That's not that bad.
The contract ends at the end of his age 36 season. With Rafael Devers' profile, there's no reason he can't still be an above average bat by 36 years old. Who knows if he's not still who knows if he's not still tearing the cover off the ball at 36 years old. If the Mariners were not in on this, that is a travesty.
Yeah. That would have made for talk about a fun week. It would have been Kendall Graveman again, except reversed.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
How good would that have been to be on the other side of that? Oh, my God. Reports here from Seattle. Rafael Devers is currently sporting a Seattle Mariners cap and is on the first base side. Wait, what?
But it would have been leaked before that.
Yeah, it would have been. Do you think Red Sox fans would feel much better about it?
No.
No, the first game he happens to play for another team, it's against the Red Sox.
It would be pretty fitting. It'd be pretty fitting considering he debuted back in 2017 in Seattle.
They should have been in on this. God, that was annoying. What? This is the Luka Doncic trade of Major League Baseball. They did it.
Came out of nowhere.
Listen to what Carrabis says in this episode. There's a positive and a negative to recording this Carrabis thing before this happened. Number one, you got to hear, I guess, an opinion of his before it actually happened. So there's no like after the fact reaction to it. So you get to hear like the thought process, what I feel like a majority of Red Sox fans thought throughout the season and what Carrabis talks about. But also, if we had to get him after Lyle, I'm worried he wouldn't have much time this week because he'd be talking so much about Rafael Devers with everyone else. So instead, you get to hear it from him before Rafi gets traded. He didn't think Rafi was coming to Seattle, unfortunately.
He didn't think Rafi was going anywhere.
No, he didn't. No.
I also didn't think on Thursday Rafi was coming to Seattle. But you know what? Sitting here on Sunday afternoon, I think he should have been coming to Seattle.
Man.
Like,
one would think.
Travesty, dude. Seeing that package and that money, travesty.
So here's what we're going to do. You and I know people, right? We know people now. We talk to people. Let's go do some digging.
All right.
We can ask.
Fine. So you want me to get off this screaming like hothead all up in your face train and start doing some actual investigative journalism?
Well, you and I both know that our opinions are a little bit more validated when we know things, as opposed to just sitting here speculating the chance of trading for Rafael Devers out of the blue.
Fine. We can walk into the scoop shop, as Carrabis likes to call it when things are going down. Jared likes to call it the scoop shop. We can walk into our own version of the scoop shop and try to get the lowdown.
Okay. Well, Mariners series against the Red Sox this week just got a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it did. Well, actually, did it? Don't they face Crochet in this series?
Yeah, but Devers isn't in the lineup. That's the whole point.
All right, fine. Actually, don't quote me on if they face Crochet. I'm actually not sure.
Their two best hitters will be out for this series. Bregman and Devers.
Yeah, they face Crochet on Wednesday.
Well, pleasant. So they should probably win the first two.
Although, while Lucas Giolito and Walker Buehler haven't been great, you also know they can break it out at any time. So
yeah.
they got to do it. All right, that's 10 minutes on Devers. I'm fucking pissed. Shocker. But should we get to Carrabis in a minute here?
Yeah, we can get to Carrabis in a minute.
Before we do that, and I'll let you wrap up in just a second, I was just going to say, for another reminder for everybody, we are going to have a live show coming up in about a week and a half now, maybe closer to 2 weeks, but it's on June 28th. That's Saturday afternoon, 12 p.m. live show, 1 p.m. watch party. It's over at Occidental Hall. New location, guys. Cannot wait for it to open up. We're fired up. It's going to be your first chance to get it. Yeah, to get a look at it.
We're going to get to go check it out here on Tuesday.
Yeah. So, and I promise we will report back how awesome it's going to be. But it'll be your guys' real first chance to come down and see it, get the lowdown, get to hang out with us, new location. It's going to be sick. It's going to be a blast. So June 28th, that's Saturday, 12 p.m. live show, 1 p.m. watch party, Occidental Hall.
On top of talking about hypothetical at this point, Rafael Devers trades with Jared Carrabis, a lot has changed for him since the last time we had him on. He has a new outlet. He got Section 10 back. He offers a ton of good insight about the Red Sox and how they've operated, and sort of there's a similar nature with these two franchises and how they've played since the 2020, or since I'd say about 2022. They've been, it's been kind of similar, and the fan bases have been kind of, what's the best way to put it? Yeah, I would say wrapped up and frustrated in many of the same ways. Mm-hmm. And so it was good to get perspective from a different franchise of Jared Carrabis. And he also obviously covers all of Major League Baseball. So he had plenty of good things to say about the Mariners as well, and some potential trade targets. And, also looking back at this offseason in a more positive light for the Mariners in terms of maybe they were better off for what they did. So he had a lot of interesting things to say in this conversation.
You guys know he is one of our favorite people to talk baseball with. I mean, he was a white whale guest of ours before we had him on the first time. We got to catch up with him at All-Star Week last year for a bit. We're having him back on the podcast now as a recurring guest, second time appearance, and he is the best. We can't wait to have you guys hear the combo. It's a blast.
We won't keep you guys any longer. Let's get you to the interview with Jared Carrabis.
All right, we've got Jared Carrabis back on with us now, recurring guest, one of our favorite people to talk ball with. You can find him at Underdog Fantasy on Section 10. Baseball is Dead. You can listen to him on Unobstructed Views on Nesson. So, Jared, is this just going to be a therapy session for our two fan bases? And if it is, who's going through it more right now?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to say who has the clear advantage here. Probably you guys, which is, it's tough for me to admit that because, I mean, Red Sox fans, we've been going through it for a little while. You guys have obviously been going through it forever, literally forever. I mean, that you had the one playoff appearance, which I was at, which was awesome until the game ended. But I feel like you guys have, I guess, it is very similar. So, kind of what I'm trying to say is you guys have the spine of what could be very entertaining. Cal Raleigh, one of the best offensive seasons for a catcher ever, literally. We're only halfway through it, but I'm excited to see where that ends up finishing. The starting pitching staff that you guys have. And then for us, it's the rookie. Our lineup is 44% rookies. I know it's the big bad Boston Red Sox, and they spent $40 million on Alex Bregman, and they traded for Garrett Crochet and extended him, and they have all this money to spend. But at the end of the day, it's a very young, inexperienced team for the amount of money that has been spent on the roster. So I think for both of us, you can see the exciting parts of it, but like collectively, the entire roster is not resulting in a winning record for either of us. At least for you guys, first place is still within striking distance, whereas for us, it's kind of, we entered the month of June being like, all right, so the wild card, huh? And it's like no one's even checking wild card standings before the All-Star break, but that's kind of how we have to operate. At least for you guys, there's still a shot at the division and the playoffs, whereas for us, not that it would take a miracle, but let me put it this way. You guys can very much still get into the dance as is. We need help. We need big-time help. Yeah. Because I think going into the season, too, it's always with the Seattle Mariners, it's always been they got great pitching, but they can't hit for shit. And you guys have a better team OPS than you have a team ERA this year. It's the injury bug. If you guys just get healthy, well, then look out for the Seattle Mariners. If the Red Sox get healthy, it's like, yeah, you get back Alex Bregman, but our roster is so dysfunctional that if Bregman comes back, it's like, all right, well, now where does Meyer go? And if Meyer is still in the infield, where does Campbell go? Where does Campbell go? Where does Trevor Story go? Like, and then I know you guys hate Abraham Toro, but he's someone that has now factored into how do we keep Abraham Toro in the lineup? Because Tristan Casas blows his knee out. Abraham Toro ends up coming up and becoming like Jim Thome for the Red Sox. It's unbelievable. So I guess it's a good problem to have, but it is quite complicated.
My ears are bleeding listening to that.
I'm sorry. I mean, Abraham Toro, I'm trying to think of like a comparison where, the Red Sox had a guy that was just absolute ass, and then he went somewhere else and just became so beloved.
Maybe this is just this is a Jerry DiPoto was right 4 years later kind of thing, where they're talking him up so much when they essentially throw their 2021 season in a rut and trade Graveman away, get Toro back, like, oh, we love the upside of Abe. He could play all over the field for us, the switch hitting, he's got a little bit of speed, a little bit of power,
tons of power. Hit the game-winning home run
with the
last
Mariners. Night. And now that he's a Red Sox, I mean, it's all there now.
Yeah, game-winning home run last night.
Too? Yeah. I said, TJ, does that make your ears bleed too, that he hit a game-winning homer last night?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Playing a great first base, playing a great third base when we need him to. Team loves him. Local hero. I've been comparing him to Mike Carp. Remember him?
Yeah, Mariners legend Mike Carp.
Yep. I believe he had his best season ever with the Red Sox in 2013, and his numbers are quite comparable to Abraham Toro's this year, at least offensively. And then you look at the wins above replacement, and it's like Abraham Toro is kind of halfway to where Mike Carp ended up in terms of WAR in 2013 as well. So Abraham Toro, the Mike Carp of the 2025 Boston Red Sox.
The fact I have to sit here and I look, and I would confidently say, Lyle, wouldn't you agree with this? Abe Toro would be hitting fifth in the Mariners' current lineup?
Yeah,
probably.
It's third for us sometimes.
Imagine hearing that, TJ, in 2022. So, like, just to explain the dynamic a little further, Jared, like, I was no, ultra fan of him. Like, obviously, he didn't play well in 22 when he was here. But, this dude right here, I've never seen a hatred by one fan for one player the way that he had it. Honestly, it was probably kind of like you and Caleb Ward, except TJ didn't like to go out.
Sandoval's my arch enemy.
That's a better one. It's probably more like Sandoval.
Yeah,
it was like
I never let that one go. Like Caleb Ward, it's like he's become so irrelevant in the baseball space. Sandoval will always be relevant because of what he did with San Francisco. So and now the legend of Abraham Toro will live on when he ends up winning a World Series with the Red Sox as their starting first baseman this year.
Actually, I amend my statement. He would be hitting third, and they would bump Cal Raleigh down to fourth, as Dan likes to do. Cal, you're going to get less at-bats, and Abe Toro is going to be pushed higher up in the lineup behind Jorge Polanco DHing.
Be music to your ears.
It's incredible what Cal's doing this year, though. I remember I interviewed him in 2023, I want to say, and I've always just gravitated towards him, because what a nickname, big dumper, it's unbelievable, but B, most importantly, probably big Jason Varitek guy, and every time he would come to Fenway, he would just hit the shit out of the ball. I'm friends with one of his family members, and she's always hyping him up. And I was like, all right, well, what's the deal with this guy? And then you watch him play, and you're like, oh, he's got some major pop. And to go from like, you know, a nice little catcher, like a great defender that's got some pop, to, hey, let's break out the record books. How many home runs for a catcher in a season where it's their primary position? You know, potentially talking like a 50-plus homer season. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
Do you get to claim, Jared, any of his season because he grew up a Red Sox fan?
I mean, you guys need something to just have completely to yourselves. So you guys can have that. I will enjoy watching it, no doubt. Like, I'm happy to have been able to watch it from the beginning. But, yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys where it's even more impressive. I mean, obviously, if anyone hits 50-plus home runs, you're like, man, that's very impressive. But the fact that he can be an elite defender at a very physically taxing position and still go out and have that kind of pop, I don't think that your everyday casual baseball fan is truly appreciating the work that goes in. Because, I mean, like, guys go in for like hitters meetings and all this stuff, and they're in the cage and they're working on their swing. He has to prepare, I don't know, one of the best staffs in baseball. Like, he's got to be the guy that's like, hey, this is the approach that we're going with today, and it's a very results-driven business. And yeah, for him to be such a complete player at a position like that, I don't think that that should be slept on. And it'll be very cool to see him as the starting catcher at the All-Star game.
It's crazy. Like, things we didn't have on our bingo card this year. Like, obviously we knew he was, if not one of the best catchers in the game. But in the course of about 2.5 months, we've gone from comping him to William Contreras and Will Smith and like Adley Rutschman to putting him in conversations with Judge, Shohei, Freddie Freeman, etc., which is nuts. And I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP over Judge. He isn't. But it to have the conversation is crazy that we've ended up here.
Yeah, what's the OPS Plus up to right now?
Let's check as we speak.
190?
It might be a little below that, but it is high. He is at 187. Yeah, so you basically nailed it. That's crazy.
And on top of that, Lyle, like, if we're going to keep the catcher comparisons, it goes from those active catchers to Mike Piazza, Johnny Bench, Pudge Rodriguez, Buster Posey. Like, right now, I still think if he just keeps this up, hit the greatest catcher season of all time is his. Mm-hmm. And he goes from very good Mariners player to inner circle Mariner in 6 months.
Yeah.
With guys
because
like,
I mean, like, those guys
Griffey,
we're talking like, you know,
Griffey, A-Rod, Edgar,
yeah.
Randy, Felix.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would be curious because he's such an elite defender. Like, I'll get Jay Hay on this for the next BID. Like, we'll have him look up, like, because we did look up homers as primary catcher, but I want to know, like, wins above replacement single season for catcher, like primary position.
The record is 2012 Buster Posey with 9.8.
Ooh, okay. And what's he at now?
He's right now on pace to break that.
Ooh. Yeah. I would have guessed Pudge.
Pudge only got up to, I think, 7 in his top season.
Was that 99?
Yes.
That was
99 or 98.
Screwed Pedro out of the MVP.
Yeah.
Pedro should have won the MVP in 99. Two writers left Pedro completely off the ballot, and that's why he didn't win in 99. Should have been Cy Young and MVP in the same season. They were just like, I think both of them said that pitchers shouldn't be the MVP. One of them previously had voted for a pitcher, and one of them, like, 2 or 3 years later, voted for a pitcher. So it was just complete bullshit, but I digress.
It is crazy the way MVP voting's changed from back then to now. And, like, I almost even feel weird admitting this as Mariners people and a, like, diehard Mariner fan, but I go back and look at the year Ichiro won the MVP in 2001, and, like, he was unbelievable that year. 200-plus hits, first year over from Japan. He was amazing. But then I went and looked at Giambi's numbers, who finished behind him that year, and I was like, oh. Like, I don't think Ichiro wins it in the modern day, because Giambi, like, went nuts that year, and he didn't win it. So, like, it's just different.
But Lyle, even Brett Boone.
Yeah, that one too. But, like, to the point about the catchers, Jared, like, we did this a couple weeks ago because we were curious the pace. Like, we looked at Bench's best season, Piazza's best season, Pudge's best season, and Cal's on pace to basically outwar all of them. And like OPS plus, WRC plus wise, he's on pace to pass all of them except 97 Piazza, which is pretty wild. Like,
how many homers did he hit that year? Like 46?
Yeah. Here, let's check the actual numbers on that. I'd be curious to see if J-Hay can dig any further than this because he's great at this stuff. But yeah, Piazza that year, he hit 40. Yeah.
40.
It's pretty crazy. I
Huh.
know.
Either way, I mean, like, you're talking like all-time best season for a catcher. Because I don't even know, without even looking, I don't recall anyone ever being like, yeah, Piazza, great defensive catcher. Like, he's unbelievable.
Sure.
It was always just, he mashed. So, yeah, best season ever for a catcher is quite the season to be able to say that you watch from start to finish. That's pretty cool.
Sure.
In the worst hitter's park in baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Something none of those other guys had to do.
Yeah. Right.
Before we change subjects on this, the one thing I was going to say is going back to that interview you did with Cal a couple years ago. I'd be fascinated to hear him go back to that dude now who in your interview he was talking about, went up to him, I think at a Chili's, and he's like, yeah, you're going to have to stop switch hitting. You can't do this. Because him now, he's OPSing about the same numbers from both sides of the plate.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I remember that story. The Chili's story in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Chili's bathroom. Some dude was like, yeah, you got to stop switch hitting. I got to look at the schedule because you guys must come here at some point, right?
They already came.
They did? Am I forget? I don't remember the schedule at all. What month was that?
I think it was
It was
May.
April.
Oh, late April.
It was April?
Yeah, it was April. Because we remember, Lyle, we did the whole segment on the fact the Mariners legitimately can't pitch at Fenway.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't.
Well, then I'll have to track him down in Atlanta at the All-Star game because I know that he'll be there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
How much of a weight in your world and the world of Red Sox Nation is lifted off your shoulders now that Roman Anthony's up? Because I mean, all the discourse was rightfully warranted, but also like pretty hostile for a while. It's like, how the hell is this dude not up in the big leagues? So is there a nice weight lifted off your shoulders now?
For me, absolutely. Yeah. So people don't believe me when I say this, but now that all three of them are here, I don't care what happens moving forward. Obviously, I want them to win, but I just, it was infuriating to sit through a season where I know that I'm not watching the best team possible. Like, this is not the best team that you can field with this organization's worth of players. And I mean, I can't even give them a ton of credit either because Meyer got called up because Bregman got hurt and Roman Anthony got called up because Willier got hurt. It didn't feel or seem like they had a plan at all, which like they didn't because both guys got called up as an emergency injury replacement guy. There was like talk on the radio this morning, like, oh yeah, like when Willier is ready to come back, like Roman's going to go back down. Like, no, like you can't do that. Like we're already at the point now, especially like Roman gets called up and you immediately take 2 out of 3 against the second place team in your own division after taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. And then you have the Yankees again this weekend coming to Fenway. If they take 2 out of 3 or sweep or whatever, and then you're just going to be like, yeah, that spark that we've been searching for the first 3 months of the season, let's get rid of that. Like, yeah, like we don't need that spark, right? Like there's no point. The buzz in the ballpark of like people standing, like giving a standing ovation to a 21-year-old rookie just because they're excited that so in my lifetime, there's different chapters and eras of Red Sox baseball, but pretty much from 2021 when that team went to the ALCS and got fucked by Laz Diaz. I don't know if you can swear on this. I'm sorry if I can't.
Go ahead. Yeah, all the time.
That team should have went to the World Series. I don't think they would have beat the Braves, but they should have beaten the Astros. There was the end of a chapter at 21, and then it just feels like there were blank pages. 22, 23, 24. It was 3 years of blank pages. That was not an era. It was just kind of like, all right, these guys are in the system. We're waiting for them to develop and get to the big leagues. And now we're in 25. They're all here now. So when Meyer got called up, standing ovation in his first at-bat at Fenway Park. Roman Anthony on Monday, first at-bat at Fenway Park, standing ovation. People are just ready to turn the page. So, of course, again, I want them to win. I hope they win. It would be awesome if they won. I'm just happy that they're here. Like, if they're developing at the big league level, great. I trust them more in the hands of Alex Cora than in the minor league development. You know, like how many prospects have we seen get called up by the Red Sox where it's like, do they even know how to play baseball? Like, do they teach them how to play baseball, or do they just teach them how to hit the ball hard? So yeah, it's a big relief to have Roman here, to have all three of them here. And I guess like there was also some talk that when Wilyer is ready, that Christian Campbell's the one that gets sent down. Just leave them alone. They're here. They're up. Let them play together. Let them grow together. Let them learn together. Let them learn how to win together. That's something that outside of Rafael Devers, no one on this team knows how to win. They've never won. None of them. It's Devers has a World Series ring. He's been in a couple playoff runs. And then everyone else on this team is either a rookie, a 2-3 year service time guy, and have never won a thing in their careers. So let them learn. Who cares?
There's a lot of other questions we could ask about Roman Anthony, but I think the one that jumps up to the top for me is, why does his dad have the same name twice?
His brother, too.
Why? Isn't that confusing? Context for people who don't know, Roman Anthony's dad is named Anthony Anthony.
Mm-hmm. And his brother
is
named
Anthony Jr.
Yes. I think that their grandfather is also Anthony. But I don't think it goes beyond that.
Good.
So it's not like this, long line of Anthony's, but yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 of them. We know that. Yeah, would you go by Tony? You would kind of have to, right?
You need to have different variations of it. I think you have to spell it differently too.
Tony Anthony plays, but put it this way. If I'm the Red Sox and let's say Roman Anthony's name was Anthony, I'm not drafting him. I'm like, that's weird. He's probably going to have confidence issues. Maybe he has like trust issues with his family for being named Anthony. I would pass. So I'm glad that he named him Roman because it made him more draftable, which led to him being the number 1 prospect in baseball for the Boston Red Sox.
And that's a sick name. Like, not Anthony where it's twice. Roman, like, I think that's a sick baseball name. Like,
it's a nasty
strikes fear
name
into opponents.
I would name my son Roman if I had a kid.
Yeah. It's funny, like, he wasn't even always the number 1 prospect in the Red Sox system. And, like, not consensusly until like a few months ago? I remember last year when we ran into you guys at All-Star Week. And
when it was. That was the day.
That's when it changed.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, we were at one of the prospect events on that Saturday, and, like, I'd heard plenty about Roman. I'd never seen him in person, but I kid you not, he had, like, 10 swings in a row that featured 10 launch balls, like, way up into the seats in Texas. And I was like, oh, my God, like, this guy's insane. I know it's just, like, a showcase event, but, like, 10 swings and 10 home runs that are all, like, tape measure shots. That's not normal.
Yeah, we were in line to fly back to Boston, and where was the All-Star game last year? It was Texas, but what was the one the year before that?
Seattle.
It was here.
That was the Seattle one? Mm-hmm. So maybe it was the Seattle All-Star game. I can't remember, but I do remember flying back from the All-Star game, being in line to get on the flight, and that's when they dropped the new prospect rankings, and it wasn't like, it was like a bittersweet thing because it was kind of like this neck and neck race between Meyer and Anthony. And it was like, we have Marcelo Meyer. He's like the 1, 2, 3 prospect in baseball. And like, look at Roman Anthony. Like, he's climbing up too. Like, he's going to be in the top 10. And then it got to the point where like Roman was just clearly the number 1. And, Marcelo got hurt. So it wasn't like poor performance, but like he finished the year at AAA, but didn't play a game for them last year. So he had gotten promoted because the Red Sox made it very clear, like, they want these guys to progress together, the big 3. But yeah, like, I remember Roman had passed Marcelo, and I was like, man, like, I kind of feel bad for Marcelo because, I feel like if you're early 20s and you're being told that you're the chosen one, and then you have someone blow past you, like, yeah, like, maybe that hurts your confidence, but not him. He does not care. Like, he is just whatever. We went to Portland last summer and we interviewed all 3 of them. And we were, asking him, do you pay attention to the prospect rankings? And he was like, I really don't. He's like, my friends and family pay attention to that stuff, and I hear about where I am, but like it changes all the time, and it doesn't really matter to me. He's like, you can get to the big leagues being the 97th prospect in baseball and still be better than the guy that was ranked first. It's it's a long race to the Hall of Fame, really.
What makes Roman so good?
A lot of things. He has an ungodly ability to hit the baseball really hard. I don't know if you guys saw the 497-foot grand slam that he hit last night, or not last night, the other night. And I think he almost has the soul of a 35-year-old big league vet already. Like, he's very composed. He's very professional. He's super focused. All three of them are. Like, they're just baseball rats. They hang out together. They work out together. They play video games together. They talk baseball together. And, yeah, I mean, I think last year he had like the second hardest hit ball in the entire organization. And I think the first was Raffy. So it went like Raffy and then Roman last year. But yeah, he's very strong for being newly 21.
I've actually got one Rafael Devers question for you. And it's actually not what you think. It has nothing to do with him changing or not changing positions. So maybe you guys have talked about this before, but this is just coming from an outsider's perspective who watches him play from afar, and this always jumps out. So I'm curious to get your 2 cents. Has anybody ever thought about getting this guy a Zen? And what I mean by that is, like, I frankly get like a little concerned with like the lips he packs in on a night-by-night basis. I'm like, Rafi, like, no offense, this is from an outsider's perspective. I'm like a little worried about your health.
It's a great question. So, I mean, I pack absolute hammers too. Like, I don't know if you guys have tuned in to Tied in the Eighth, but like, that's just part of my routine. Like, I'll wake up, protein shake, and then when I start doing prep for my pod, hammer. And then after like my day, because like, I obviously can't. Coley doesn't care. Like, Coley will pack a lip on camera, but he packs bitch lips. But during the game, like, I'll just have like a hammer in, and then it's like, Tied in the Eighth, got a live stream. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't have time to go like rinse my mouth out and brush my teeth and hop on the live. So I'll just be packing one. I think for me, I get it. It's part of the ritual. Like, I remember playing baseball, so my coach didn't care, or either he didn't care or he didn't notice. He had to have noticed. But like, I would do the 2 pouches and during high school baseball games, and then trying to play without it, like, you feel like you're naked. You feel like you're naked out there. So then, like, later in life, it's like we're in college and we're playing like parking lot wiffle ball, and I'm like, something feels off, and then you just throw it in there, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go back and watch the home run derby in 2018, the Barstool home run derby, I have like, I went and got like a tin of I think it was like straight skull pouches, because I'm like, I can't swing if I don't have something in there. So for Rafi, I get it. Sure, there are absolutely health risks. So now I do no free ads, but Black Buffalo. It's just tea leaves, but it has the nicotine. So maybe we can get Rafi on some Black Buffalo so that he at least doesn't have the health risks anymore.
All right. Yeah, I could buy into that. Like, and not that like other guys across the league don't do it, but for whatever reason, like him specifically, it just jumps out to me when it's on TV. It's like, oh, that is like, that's really noticeable. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, some guys are a little more discreet about it, and him, it's just like, oh yeah, it's right there on the side of his lip or whatever.
That's like Poppy. Poppy was the same way. I mean, like, didn't they ban tobacco in MLB? It's like, what do they get? Like a $250 fine, like once a week? Like, Rafi gives a shit.
Right. Yeah, he really can't afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a timeline on him being available?
What do you mean?
To get traded.
Oh, do you want
from
him?
from a prospective team that might like to trade for him?
I don't think that they would trade him. I think so. When there was first that rift with Breslow and Raffy, there was, I think, a little bit of smoke there where maybe the Red Sox would consider it if it really went downhill and it was just this unsalvageable relationship. But that's why Cora gets paid the big bucks as the Red Sox manager, because I think he is fully capable of reining him in and putting out the fires in the clubhouse. And there might be Red Sox fans listening to this right now being like, oh, like he's doing such a great job getting him to play first base or third base or whatever. But it's like, what makes you so convinced that he would be good at playing first base? You know, like we just assume that he would just go over there and be great. Like not everyone would be great at playing first base. And it would be different to me if he was like at DH. It's like, hey, the DH thing isn't working out, but he's actually taken his offensive game to the next level as the DH of the Boston Red Sox. So that might be part of Cora's strategy. It's like, why mess with this? And then the other thing too, that now that I'm thinking of it, I don't think I've even had this take on a podcast yet, but like, let's say the Red Sox put Raffy back at third while Bregman's out, then everyone would be like, all right, now get Yoshida up here to DH. Then what happens when Bregman comes back? It's like, all right, now we need the DH spot back, but like, where do you, like, you know, Yoshida can't play the field. It's just, I don't know. There's just so many headaches on this team right now. It's ridiculous.
Let's put it like this.
Is that contract worth what he's doing at DH? Are you fine with that?
Yeah. I mean, if he's getting $313 to be a DH, I mean, Juan Soto's a DH. Like he's getting $765 to not be as good of a hitter as Rafael Devers. I think the Soto contract and even the Vladdy contract now makes Devers' contract kind of a steal. Like I'm happy to pay him whatever $30 million a year to just launch baseballs.
Right. Yeah, those two guys are DHs. Like Soto, Vladdy. Like, you know, Vladdy plays first. Soto plays right field, if you want to call it that. But yeah, they're DHs too. So like, yeah, I'm with you on that. And let's put it like this: the reason we're even asking about the Devers thing is purely out of true desperation from a fan base that just is hungry as all hell for star power, for offense, and it's probably totally unrealistic that Devers would even get moved, period, especially to our team of all teams. But yeah, we ask out of desperation. It's like, what point would this boil down to? Which is why I'm sure TJ asked the question.
What's the largest contract in Mariners history? Is it Julio? But at full value, it's Julio. But like guaranteed, what's the largest?
Yeah, they would never even in a million years think about picking up a Rafi Devers contract, or even if the front office would, ownership never would. So to answer your question, I think it's Robbie Cano when it was 10 years for 240. But you want a banger of a stat here, because that was the old regime and the old ownership group. Since the new front office and ownership took over in 2016, here are the three biggest free agent position player contracts the Mariners have ever handed out. Coming in at number 1 is Mitch Garver at 2 years for $24 million. Coming in at number 2 is AJ Pollock, 1 year for $7 million. And coming in at number 3 was all the way back in 2016, Nori Aoki at 1 year for $5.5 million. So that's a real stat. Like, you want to talk about free agent splashes for a team that's lacked offense forever. It doesn't exist.
Like, they did pay Robbie Ray $115 million, but as soon as they waited 5 days after his no trade clause on the contract expired, and then traded him and all of his money away
for Mitch Haniger, who came back and was really bad, and they DFA'd him this year, and now Robbie Ray's off in San Francisco, absolutely dealing. So, yeah, not great.
Big problems. Yeah, I mean, that's to a lesser extent, it's somewhat similar here. We only give out 1 year deals. It's for bigger money, obviously. Like Bregman was like 40, like Buehler was like 21. But that's what we do. We hire broken pitchers. We pay them to rehab, and then hope that they're good in year 2, and then they're not, and then we say, "Whoops!" They did with Paxton. Mariners legend James Paxton. We've done it now with Lucas Giolito. We're doing it currently with Walker Buehler. We're currently doing it with Patrick Sandoval. That's kind of been their strategy, is either giving out 1 year deals to players or 2-year deals where the first year they're just rehabbing and then it's basically a 1-year deal.
Uh-huh.
Liam Hendricks, another one.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a lot of guys that you kind of rack up in terms of contracts that are working to get back off the IL and stuff. Yep. I am curious. We haven't gotten to talk to you on a podcast or whatever since, all the offseason stuff ended and since the season got back in full swing here. But did you ever buy any of the smoke between our two teams back in the winter about a trade? Because we were pretty connected a lot. It had a lot to do with Castillo, and then on your end it was Casas, it was Yoshida, guys like that. Like, did you ever buy into any of that?
Yeah, because it was real.
Right.
I think like the Castillo thing was he wanted his like contract to be restructured. I think it was something like the taxes in Seattle are better than they are in Boston, so he wanted to be like compensated for the difference, basically. Like, what am I going to lose paying Massachusetts state taxes? Like, I want to be compensated for the loss. And then the Red Sox were like, no. So like that was like a hang up as part of the deal. And then obviously Seattle not being interested in Casas and not wanting to take on Yoshida's money. I mean, there were a bunch of different hang ups in it, but I think if all participants were willing and able, I think that there was going to be a deal made that involved Yoshida and Casas and Luis Castillo. But I don't know. Maybe Casas works out for you guys. Like he got hurt here, but it's like, it was a freak incident. And Yoshida, we're literally just stashing. We're just telling the world that he's injured. He was taking BP yesterday. Like, he's fine. He can absolutely, like, he could be your DH right now and have like a 120 OPS plus, no problem.
Right.
Would you have done the trade?
Yeah. In a heartbeat. I wouldn't even have thought about it. I would have been like, yes. Like, that gives us roster flexibility, and it gives us a very clear number 2 starter, whereas we do not have that guy. We have Garrett Crochet and a bunch of other guys. Like, no disrespect to, Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito. Like, they've had very good careers, but they have not been consistent here. They've had really good starts here and there, but, like, they're not stringing together good starts. Same thing with Bayo. It's like he's not stringing together good starts. He's had some good starts. But, yeah, like a guy like Luis Castillo, you can just plug him in and be like, wait, we have potentially, like, 2 dudes that can make around 30 starts and give us a sub 4. Like, it's such a low bar. Like you guys fucking roll out of bed and have dudes that have like a 2.2 and like a 11 strikeouts per 9. Like, we don't know what that's like.
Well, unfortunately, Jared, not this year. Their team ERA now is over 4.
Yeah, I did see that.
Hurt.
Yeah,
everybody's hurt. So like,
yeah.
I mean,
the injuries are
which
tough
factors
for you
into
guys.
it. Yeah. And
Like,
Bryce Miller's had to pitch through like an elbow thing all year, and now he's back on the IL. So like, that's an example of like, why is the ERA partly up? It's not because of one guy, but he's an example of like, he has not been right all year, and he's tried to pitch through it, to his credit, but like, it just hasn't worked. So the Castillo thing is that's actually interesting. I don't know if I'd heard the thing about the taxes before, but
I don't know that it's been out there.
It makes sense because Washington State doesn't have income tax, and Massachusetts, I assume, does.
Right.
Massachusetts, baby.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
Fair. Man, yeah, that is interesting. I got to tell you, from a content perspective, we talked about all winter. We're like, God, Tristan Casas would be fun in Seattle. I don't know if he'd I don't know how he'd play. I don't know how he'd hit. I don't know how he'd fit with the ballpark. But like, just from like the sake of what we do, we're like, man, he'd be fun to talk to. Like, I don't know exactly how Boston fans feel about him. It feels split from watching the Netflix documentary and watching a bunch of people's reactions. It feels pretty split. Like, do you have a take on him and like how people feel about him?
It is very split. The people that love him are like weirdly obsessed with him, and the people that hate him weirdly hate him. There's no rational people on either side. Like, I'm somewhere in the middle. It's like, I don't hate him. He doesn't bother me, but I'm also not like Tyler Milliken on Section 10 just worships the ground that he walks on and like talks about the first half of his 2023 season. Like he tries to extrapolate that over his entire career. It's like, you're talking about one half of a season 2 years ago. Like, I don't know. Like, I was big on him when they drafted him and when he played for Team USA. Like, I was tweeting it, like his Team USA highlights and throughout the minors, and when he got here, I was very excited, and then he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And for me, like, I welcome the quirky guy, but you have to be on the field. You have to be good, and he hasn't done either of those things. So where he kind of lost me a little bit was this past spring training when he was like, yeah, like, we don't need like any of the big three guys getting called up to start the year. Like, we've got some grown men on the roster, and like, we've got some things we got to figure out. And it's like, who the fuck are you to say that? Like, who are you to say, or like, I think, was it, I forget like which player it was, but
was
he got involved with like the Devers Bregman thing too.
That's what I was
like,
going to say.
Like, Rafael Devers is my third baseman. And it's like, shut up. Like, because now Bregman is going to be the third baseman, and he's going to feel weird. Like, he came here to help this trash team be better, and now he's going to feel unwelcome because of this fucking goof. So it was very, it was off-putting. Like, he kind of lost me there. But everything else, like him doing like the sunbathing stuff, he gets hate for that. It's like, who cares? Like, if that's part of his routine, go for it. The nail polish. He's like, I do that just to make people mad. I respect that. Like, I, as an internet troll myself, I purposely do things that I know will make people mad because it make other people, some people it makes them laugh, some people it makes them mad. So like, stuff like that, go for it. I don't care. But in spring training, when he just started giving his opinion on roster decisions, it's like, bro, you do not have the resume to be giving these opinions. Like, all you have to say is, I trust my manager's decision to put the best team on the field. I'm just looking forward to getting out there and winning some ball games and hopefully staying healthy and being able to contribute myself. Like, it's not that hard to play the game. Like, you don't have to have, I think that's what my tweet was you don't have to have an opinion on everything. I don't think he's learned that yet.
Well, he would have fit right in on the Mariners. Just off-season quotes, spring training quotes. It's like, why are you saying that?
Who were some of the odd ones?
With Casas or the Mariners?
The Mariners.
Oh, well, how long do we have? Okay, well, let's start with one. In the beginning of February, after they signed Jorge Polanco, Jerry DiPoto went on the record and said, this is the most complete team they've ever had.
Yeah.
They are right now 15th as of recording this. They're 15th in runs scored, 20th in ERA, and 25th in outs above average on defense.
Yeah. So that's one. Honestly, he ripped off like 3 bangers in a row on one press conference. In fact, TJ and I were sitting there, like, our screens weren't on. We were just kind of on Zoom listening. A minute into it, I texted him and I said, oh, it's going to be one of those pressers, because DiPoto sometimes gets himself into some pretty hot water with some of the press conferences he does. Like, I'm sure you remember the whole 54% one. That's the one that's famous.
Yes.
But like, he's had some other ones too. And in this one, he started it off by, I mean, like, and you know this, like, you talked about the Mariners offseason plenty. I remember you linked it to the Orioles. It's like, yeah, those two teams have had the worst offseasons in baseball or whatever. So he clearly didn't feel that way, despite literally only bringing in Donovan Solano for $3.5 million as the only new player on the roster offensively. And he says to start the presser, he said, and I quote, "You're not going to see that many new faces in spring training this year, much to the dismay of a few." Like, he dropped that line right on everybody, much to the dismay of a few. And we're looking at each other like, dismay of a few? The whole baseball world thinks you just had this awful offseason. It's not a few people. So he said that, and then followed it up with, there's a perception of our offense and a reality of our offense. It's like, no, I don't think there is. Like, I think people know the offense has been bad, like, for a while. Like, so yeah. Let
me look up one player's stats right here, because for me, my criticism was obviously, like, you need offense, and I really think that they should have been more aggressive with the Red Sox because, you know, something could have happened. Okay, so I was correct here. The trade with the Red Sox would have helped a ton. Dealing from a place of strength to add to an area of great necessity. But like, the two things that I was kind of saying outside of the trade was Pete Alonso, who we later learned was just only wanted to play for the Mets and was begging to play for the Mets. So I don't know that the Mariners even had a chance at Pete Alonso. So I can't criticize them for not signing Pete Alonso. The other guy would have been a colossal mistake to sign. Do you know who I'm talking about?
It's probably Christian Walker because we banged the drum for him. Is that who you're going to say?
Santander.
Well, there's him too.
So his first season with Toronto, not going well. He's hitting a .179 with a .577 OPS and a negative 0.9 wins above replacement. It's a 62 OPS plus. So the guys that I had in mind for Seattle to go out and sign and add to their offense, it's like, all right, trade for Casas. His knee blew out, and he also sucked before his knee blew out. Again, butterfly effect. Who knows what happens if he starts the season in Seattle with a new team, new faces, change of scenery. Massa is hurt. Hurt, they say. I don't know. He's being stashed. Who knows what would have happened with Massa? I think he would have been nice. I think he would have been. He's another guy who can just roll out of bed, 120 OPS plus, maybe better. But Santander, he's been ass. So even like as much as I would like to criticize the Mariners, being like, why don't you do this, this, and that? The suggestions that I had, I don't know that they would have been any better off than they are right now, offensively at least.
Yeah, and this is where Lyle and I sit here in the situation, and we're trying to figure out, okay, outside of them just being straight up healthy, or how are they supposed to improve this team then? Like, there's a month and a half, I guess, right now until the deadline. How are they going to go out there and how are they going to get better? Do you see any at this point, Jared? Any like real good names available at this deadline that would be a fit?
So what drives me crazy with this new format, first of all, the Red Sox have not made the playoffs once since they expanded the postseason. It's like it's never been easier to make the playoffs. Red Sox 0 playoff appearances under this current format. But also with the new playoff format comes the uncertainty of these teams being like, we might be in it. Like, we're kind of in this thing. And it's like, well, are you? I think you could probably, like, the team that I would circle if I'm the Seattle Mariners, here's who I beg to become a trade partner with me. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Are you going to name the Chicago White Sox?
I'm not.
I was going to say Baltimore.
Baltimore Orioles. That is the team that is, I mean, we looked at it before the season started. Everyone had, Baltimore Orioles, we can just pencil them in for maybe winning the division, but at least a wild card spot. They have talented players. Ryan O'Hearn, that would be a nice fit for you guys. Some righty pop. Cedric Mullins, another guy. They have good players. It's just a matter of, and the other thing that Baltimore can do at this trade deadline is what I hope the Red Sox do: a little buy, a little sell. You know, if you have these guys that are on 1-year deals or they're expiring at the end of the year, trade those pieces off, try and get some cost control pieces back in return. The Orioles can do a little bit of both, and they can have a very nice yard sale. They can have a nice little return for themselves to continue to move in the right direction. I mean, they've moved in the wrong direction this year, but overall, people think highly of the organization where they're at with their young players. But if I'm Seattle, I'm trying to get in on some of those rental guys because they have a lot of talent. They're probably not going to re-sign them, and they can help you now in what should be. I mean, the Mariners have been in win now mode for what, 4 years?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they say.
Yeah, like they've been.
Their
win
win now is much different than everyone else's win now. Their win now is, we'd like to win now and next year and next year and next year. So
they're in a
like,
go for it window.
We'll be
They are in a go for it window.
Kind of.
Like TJ, with this rotation, they are in a win now window because you're not going to have this rotation forever. So,
but not all of their moves suggest that.
Well, yeah.
No,
again, doing nothing all offseason.
But the talent that they have in their roster suggests that the front office's willingness and aggressiveness and urgency surrounding the, I guess, willingness to supplement what you have doesn't line up. You know, like their response to having a good core doesn't line up with a win now window, but the talent on their roster certainly suggests it's a win now window.
Sure. Right.
And I will say trade deadlines in terms of aggressiveness have never been an issue. That's like the 2 years they've clearly been in win now mode and been in contention for a spot. They've gone out there and they've gotten the best players on the market. Yeah. And they should be this year.
Like Abraham
If there
Toro.
are players available for prospects I think they'll go get him this year.
That flew right over your head.
Right over
they're
his
not
head.
under 500 by the time the deadline goes around.
You know that just flew right over your head, right, TJ? Jared said like Abe, like getting Abe in 21.
Oh my God.
Not getting Luis Castillo in 22, not getting Randy Arozarena last year, getting Abe in 2021.
Yeah, that was
a win now move,
the,
Lyle. Didn't you listen to Jerry DiPoto after the fact?
Yeah.
That was a pivotal moment in your franchise's history, I would argue.
Yeah. Let me change gears a little bit here because I did want to ask you about a couple other things. One of them being the Red Sox Netflix doc, which came out this year, and it was awesome. I was insanely jealous of one team getting crazy access like that to learn all these things about a team that you probably wouldn't get to know otherwise, at least from a general fan's perspective. So whether it was about a player or the team as a whole, like, what was the biggest thing you took away from seeing the documentary come out?
For me, it was, man, the Boston beat writers suck at their jobs because last year I was very, I guess, like hard on Brian Bayo in the first half. And the thing that I kept pointing out was, you know, he would have these like mental breakdowns on the mound. Like they were like hissy fits, like childlike hissy fits when he wouldn't pitch well, he didn't get his way. He was like punching himself in the head. He was spiking the ball on the ground after innings and pissing and moaning about everything. And then in the doc, you find out, oh, his wife and baby can't get their visas to get in the country. And he's alone and he's not able to have his support system around him, his family. Wouldn't that be nice to know as a fan before you're like, this guy sucks and he can't get it together and enough with these temper tantrums? It's like, yeah, dude, like the guy's clearly not in a good place mentally. And if a writer was able to obtain that information and write about it and it becomes a story, I think the fans would be like, you know, getting on fans that are getting on Bayo. You know, then the tide turns and it's like anyone that's like giving Bayo shit, most of the fans would be like, dude, shut up. Like, could you imagine being in a foreign country without your family knowing like they're trying to get to you and they can't? And it's a very hard life to live as a professional athlete. And it's, you know, you're in a country where it's not your first language and you have all these expectations in Boston and you were the opening day starter and you just got this new contract and all these expectations come with that and you don't have anyone to support you and be there for you away from the field. Something that I wish I knew in real time, did not know. So, yeah, that was like a big thing that came out of the doc for me.
Well, they spent all the time being on the doc, maybe instead of reporting.
That's true, yeah. Like they interviewed me for like 2 hours and used 3 seconds of it. Just me calling Duran an idiot, which obviously he wasn't pumped about that. And I'm like, bro, like I literally blew you for 20 minutes and they didn't use any of that. And they used the one part where I was like, Duran, don't be an idiot. It's like, it is what it is. Like that's just the magic of Netflix production. So yeah, I wasn't pumped about that, but it is what it is.
Well, your voice was still in it a lot. I mean, all the cutaway scenes, it was the 2 radio stations and you talking
that was
about
from the
Red
podcast,
Sox.
though. But like they had me drag my ass to Fenway for a 2-hour sit down and then use the 3 seconds of it where I called Duran an idiot. But yeah, they did use a lot of the beat writers to narrate the whole thing, which,
I guess that just destroys my next question, which was going to be, was it cool for you to be in the doc? But as you answer it saying I sat down for 2 hours and talked about Duran for 20 minutes in a positive light, and they used only like a clip of it where I said one line about him that was a little off-putting to Jarren Duran. I guess that answers my question about did you enjoy being in the doc?
It was still cool. I mean, you know, watching it, I think you know, watching it and seeing them use stuff from Section 10 was cool. But to be honest, like, I don't know how many people watched this because, like, what was the target audience? Like, Red Sox fans don't want to relive a 500 season, and it would probably be even less interesting to non-Red Sox fans being like, yeah, let me watch a doc about a team that finished 500 that's not my team, and, like, I don't know these guys, like, I don't have, like, a rooting interest or whatever. So, like, I didn't get a ton of feedback. I didn't get like people reaching up being like, hey man, like, you know, saw you in the doc or heard you, like none of that. So I don't know how well it did. I'm sure they probably wish they picked this season to do. Like there's tons of drama stories and ups and downs and all kinds of stuff that would have been juicy. Like last year was just, I don't know, it was just a boring 500 year.
Okay, so two things to that. Maybe this is just in my own circles, but like for what it's worth, I feel like the two of us have talked to a lot of people that watch the doc. Like I really liked it. I thought it was super interesting, but maybe we're just too diehard of baseball fans to not watch something like that. The general perception, like in the general public in terms of the ratings, I guess, I don't know. But in terms of your point about the juicy stories, the one thing I thought they missed, and maybe they thought they couldn't squeeze it into the very end because they focused that last episode more on Joe Castiglione and just kind of wrapping up the season and like how everybody kind of parts ways from there. But the one thing I thought they kind of missed was Kenley with a few days before the season ends is like, yeah, I'm out. I'm leaving. Bye, guys. Like that was a juicy story. Didn't get talked about in the doc, though.
Very juicy. And from what I hear, there was some things that happened behind the scenes that I was waiting to see if that was going to make its way into the doc.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think he just kind of up and left. And while he was there, from what I'm told, like was not like the best teammate, you know, like he was in the clubhouse most of the time. He wasn't hanging out in the bullpen with the boys, like didn't remember people's names. And then when it was all said and done, he was just like, all right, peace, I'm out. And that's how you end up with the Angels, you know?
Yeah.
That's true.
What makes, like my last question on the doc, it's more of a general question, but it kind of ties to it. You've had a great relationship with Alex Cora forever, and I think one of the very easy things to tell from watching it is he's a very easy guy to like, both for players, for fans, etc. Like, what makes him so awesome? Because like managers usually can be very split in terms in a fan base. I know in this fan base with both of the last couple managers, people are and were very split. But like, what makes him so awesome?
Probably his list of priorities. You know, he's loyalty, he's family, then he's baseball, and I think you know all of his players kind of look at that as. We're all here because we love baseball, but we all have families, and I think we all want loyalty from each other and are happy to give it if we get it. He's one of those guys that if you cross him, he will give you a second chance. I know, you know, there's been people that have crossed him, and he's been forgiving, and he'll give you a second chance on that. He's an honest guy. He is a good communicator. Guys like that. The fact that he's bilingual, he can build the bridge between. Because I mean, I've been in clubhouses where it's like, you walk in, they're the white dudes, they're the Latin players, they're the black players, and they have cliques. And I feel like Cora is a guy that blends the different cliques together so that it's all one uniform team. Like that's important. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you play for Alex Cora, a vast majority of those guys are like, I would run through a wall for this guy, I would take a bullet for this guy, because he understands that. I don't know if you guys are like wrestling fans, but like Triple H, since he took over, like he started like around the holidays, they will tape shows so that the wrestlers can be home with their families during the holidays. Like he changes the, like, just because like there are some managers where they're so old school where it's like, this is how it's always been done, so this is how you guys have to do it to pay your dues for all the players that came before you. Whereas like Triple H is like same thing. Like all these guys, like, you know, it used to be on the road 300 days a year, and it's like, well, that's stupid. Like let's, you know, protect our bodies and our mental health, and, you know, let's actually spend time with our families and have a better work-life balance. And with Alex, it's the same thing, where there's sometimes like during the dog days of the summer where he's like, hey, you know, clubhouse is closed, field, like no practice, like you don't have to be here at 1 o'clock, like sleep in, get an early breakfast, have the day to yourself, and then come in at like 4 and be refreshed. That's not something that a lot of managers are doing with their players. So he's just very mindful of stuff like that. Like family's important. Your mental health is important, and it doesn't have to be like how it's always been. Like, we can do things differently if that works with this group.
Last thing for me, Jared. Last time we talked to you, you were with a different network, and now you're back with Underdog. And it's the product has looked fantastic, but I think the biggest news in the year plus since we've had you on is that Section 10 is officially back. How has that been that you guys have gotten that platform and that brand back in your control?
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. I definitely do not take it for granted. I think there was a time where I thought I would never get it back, and that was just a very sad mental space to be in, because like, that's my baby. Like, it would have been one thing, like when we left Starting Nine with Barstool, and then like they tried to replace us with two other individuals, and it didn't work out, and I was like, I don't need Starting Nine. Like, you know, yes, like we built it, yes, like fans associate it with us, but I had no emotional attachment to it. But Section 10 is called Section 10 because that's where my season ticket seats have been since 1998. Since I was 9 years old. That's been, you know, that's why it's called that. So to be able to get it back was very exciting. Like, I remember I was on FaceTime with Coley when I got the text message, like, hey, you can have it back. So yeah, it was like a very just, it felt like liberating. Like it felt like I got my identity back. I just always thought it was bullshit for like the 2 years that I couldn't call my podcast Section 10. It's like, what is it to you? Like, if I can do that or not? Like, all you're doing is just like hurting me, which like I didn't do anything to them in the first place, but just very happy to have it back, and happy to have all the original members back, and adding Tyler has been awesome. He's been great. Like, he's just the most, he's so funny, but it's the best kind of funny because he's unintentionally funny. Like, he's not trying to be funny. Like, if you try too hard to be funny, it's disingenuous. It's not funny, but he's just so wholesome, and the world hasn't broken him yet. So he's just, it's fun to just watch him exist. So it only adds to, I guess, like the quality of content that we're able to bring to the table, where people are like, you know, describe Section 10. Like, it's a Red Sox podcast, but like, it's really a sitcom. Like, it's an audio, but it's also like a YouTube baseball Red Sox sitcom. Like, that's the best way that I can describe it.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah, for people that maybe don't watch the show, Tyler, to your point, I mean, it's kind of fair to say, like, he's the punching bag of the show, right? Like, he gets it. He gets it pretty good. He
does, but like, it's almost like, you know, it's never in a mean-spirited way. It's always in like the little brother way, where he's got like, you know, the three older brothers. And for a while, Steve was the punching bag, but he's super sensitive, and it wasn't as funny to like make fun of Steve because he would just cry about it. But like, Tyler will make it funny. Like, Tyler, he'll run with it, he'll own it, and he'll create the bit with it. So yeah, no, it's just he is the perfect character for like the vibe that we want from the show.
I can relate to it 100% because I'm also on Seattle Sports Radio in the mornings, and along with doing this, and the two hosts are 20 years older than I am, and I relate to Tyler because same thing with, honestly, maybe less of the older brother thing because they're honestly a generation ahead of me, but oh yeah, like, for being like the younger one, I get it all the time, whether it's like references that I don't get, or like things that they watch that I didn't watch, or a million other things, just like the way you go about your life. Like, I get ripped for it all the time, so I relate to Tyler a ton in that way. Just in
you guys can have a support group together.
Yeah, exactly. If I ever meet Tyler one day, maybe I'll meet him at All-Star Week next month. But yeah, I could relate to him because he's on like EEI, right? Or maybe it's Z89.
Sports Hub. Yeah.
Sports Hub. Okay, yeah. So he's on the radio too. So similar thing.
Yep.
Okay, my last question I had for you, and it revolves around Section 10, is like, team podcasts are not easy to build into like a huge behemoth, and to build this crazy like following and fan base. Like, you know, it takes real work and it takes real time, which you guys have obviously done in multiple iterations of it. And like for two people like us who in 2 years have worked really hard to build it up, and we've been really thrilled with like the feedback and response and like the kind of community we built so far with it. But when we think of team podcasts, like it's you guys, it's Section 10 because it's on such a unique level compared to, I feel like, any team baseball podcast out there. Like, how do you guys feel like you grew the community and like the brand the way that you did over the years? Like, what is it that stuck with people so much? And like, I just use the examples of like thinking about how the Red Sox did Section 10 night at Fenway last year, and that was like a huge deal. And like seeing your guys' opening day show where you guys were at the bar and it was like packed to the like umpteenth person and everybody's like filed into that place. Like, that's unique. Like, that doesn't exist everywhere. So like, how did you guys get it to the point that it's at?
So I applied the same logic that I did to like my Twitter when I first started using Twitter a lot, like in 2013. Like when the Red Sox were in the World Series in 2013, that was the first year that I started swearing. I never swore on social media because I wanted to work for the team. So once I punted on that and was like, actually, I think I don't. I think I just want to like be Jared and see if that works. So I started like swearing and just talk. Like I went from talking like I was in the press box, pretending that I was in the press box, to just talking how I would talk with my friends. And that started to work on social media. And then I guess my case study was, out of all the stuff that I'm posting on the internet, what do people respond to the most? And I decided or concluded that people are way more likely to share something or tell people about it if it makes them laugh versus like, oh, like this guy tweeted a stat. Like I can research, like I had, this is the first year I haven't had it, but I've had access to like a statistics database that like Major League Baseball teams and like ESPN and MLB Network, like they all pay money to use it. And I've had it because I was employee number 2 in the company. So I've had it since its inception. So like I'm really good at researching data and coming up with different statistics that are interesting, like the way that my brain works. Like, how do I want to portray this statistic? So I can do that, but I just know it's not going to hit the same as if I say something that makes people laugh. They will share it. They'll be like, hey, have you seen this guy Jared on Twitter? Like, check out this video. I think it's funny. Or like, he made this joke. Like, isn't he funny? And like, that's how you get the followers. And then with the podcast, it was the same thing. It's like, you know, there's plenty, not that like we weren't really competing with anyone at the time because no one was doing it when we started. Like there was no sports. Like I was not to like toot my own horn here, but like, when I started in 2006 on MySpace, I wasn't competing with anyone. I was the first team-specific MySpace page. No one else was doing it. So I was like, all right, cool. I started a Red Sox MySpace page, and then it blew up. And then I went to Twitter, and it's like, well, now I have to be me instead of like the brand. But then with the podcast, it's like I can be me and the brand at the same time. So what formula works? We can be informative, but we also want to make people laugh because that's going to make people talk about it, then suggest it to their friends without us at the top of the show being like, hey, make sure you tell your friends. If you make them laugh, then it's almost like that's their addiction. Like people's lives are very hard and very difficult. And if you can make someone laugh, like that's like medicine to them. So then they're like, I need more of this. So that's kind of been like the mission statement is like, how do we talk about the team, make sure that people feel connected? Like a lot of the audience is, you know, if you're seeking out Red Sox content, you might not be from Massachusetts and you want to feel closer to home. So give them that, like bring them that Red Sox experience to them in Idaho or whatever. But if you make them feel good and you build that sense of community, like, you know, yeah, like to your point, we bust Tyler's balls and Steve, and we all make fun of each other. But I think everyone understands, like at the end of the day, like we're all friends, and the listener or viewer, we want them to feel like they're sitting there with us, and they feel like they know us, feel like they're hanging out with us, and it's just like 4 friends that are shooting the shit, talking about everyone's favorite baseball team. So that for me has been the formula. But, I think when you talk about like the crowds at the bars and stuff like that, it was a huge advantage to just be first. Like, I feel like I've just always been first to the thing that is at the forefront of my career at the time. Like, definitely the first Red Sox MySpace page. Not the first, but one of the first Red Sox bloggers. Like, there was like Surviving Grady, and there was this blog Fenway West, and there was a message board called Sons of Sam Horn. Like, not really a blog, but like it was a community that had like its own brand. So like those guys exist. Oh, Boston Dirt Dogs, that was another big one. But my blog was in that crop of like the first wave of Red Sox bloggers. And then obviously going to Barstool was very beneficial for my career because it was the biggest blog in Boston by far, like sports blog. And then, just getting out in front of it with the podcast. Like to my knowledge, there was no team specific podcast when we started in 2015. So it's been 10 years now.
Pretty cool. And to see it get to where it's gotten to in a decade is awesome, especially even for people like on the West Coast who aren't tied to the Red Sox, but for people that do this type of stuff like the two of us 10 years later, like, to see where you guys have taken it to, it's sick. So shout out to you guys.
I appreciate that, man. You guys are crushing it too. I see you pop up on TikTok all the time. Like, you guys are doing what I probably should be doing. I just don't have the patience to do it. Like, you guys are going out into the world and creating content, and you're like, you have your podcast, but then you're also thinking of ways to create content outside of the podcast, but like staying together so that when people see your faces, they're like, I know them. Where do I know them from? Oh, the podcast. Let me go listen to the podcast. So it's like all under the same umbrella, but like you're doing stuff together. So you're creating a brand together, which is very, very cool. Because, I mean, for me, like Coley's always had two other podcasts. Like, he does a Celtics podcast and he does Mixtape. And then Steve, like, he's doing stuff for Bleacher Report and he has like a full-time social media job. And Tyler, he works, like you said, he works for 98.5 The Sports Hub, and Dallas is the broadcaster for the A's. And, so it's like, I would love to create content outside of the podcast with my guys, but like, everyone has that other thing that they do. So
right.
The fact that you guys are just this united front where it's like, like we can create social content, we can do a podcast that can be on video, like all that stuff. Like, it's very, very important because then people see you and they're like, I know them, and you're creating that relationship with your viewer.
Oh, well, thanks, dude. That means the world coming from you. Yeah. Like, to see, I guess, like, just transparently for 60 seconds here, to see where it's gotten to for like the two of us, where like not just at the ballpark, but when we'll be out like walking around town now, or like out at bars or restaurants, and it happens now where people stop us and want to talk. Like, we'll look at each other like, who in the world are we? Like we never get used to it. We're just two people who love baseball, and the fact people always want to stop and like either talk or rip off their own takes or mention something that we said on the podcast or whatever, we're like we'll sit there and talk about it. We're happy to always sit and talk, but we're like, how's this happening? Like,
yeah,
it's
you can say what specifically they want to talk about. They want to talk about buying an Abe Toro jersey and wearing it to the ballpark, or asking me what I would have to do to wear an Abe Toro jersey to the ballpark.
Well, they better have it this week when the Red Sox come to town, because this is the week for it. So
yeah,
that's what I say.
I'll custom make you one if you'll wear it.
No, you can't turn that down.
They're probably selling them in the team store right now. He's probably like the second, third most popular player on the team.
The bit would be unreal. You can't turn that down.
Yeah, if they make an Abe Toro jersey, I will send you one.
Okay.
I will send Jared my address for you. If you refuse it, I'm going to take it. I'm going to drop it at your doorstep. So
yeah,
you're taking that. You're taking that.
I feel
jersey.
like you need it. Either that or just like a T-shirt that just has his face on it, but like a Red Sox hat on.
Oh, that might be even better. Then you don't have to affiliate him with the Mariners. Exactly. Like,
oh, great.
Perfect. Jared, genuinely, this has been awesome. We love talking ball with you. Thanks for taking some time to do this, and looking forward to seeing the series play out this week.
Yeah, anytime, guys. I will see you in Atlanta.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right, I'll see you in Atlanta, and keep crushing it. And we can. Do we go to Seattle at some point, right? I'm assuming the Red Sox.
Well, this week.
next week.
Yeah, like we're putting this out on Monday. It'll be like when the series starts.
Got it. All right, yeah. So then we can maybe do like a little series recap after that series.
Dope. Yeah, I'd love to.
Cool.
Thanks, Jared.
Anytime. See you guys.
We love talking to Jared. Appreciate all of his time. He's always awesome to have on the pod. I mean, I hope you guys got a lot of perspective listening to him, not just about all the Red Sox stuff and with him getting his show back and all that, but the Mariners stuff too, because as somebody who covers this thing nationally, he's got a pretty good 3,000-foot perspective on the league and certainly on the Mariners. So hopefully you guys took some stuff away from the conversation and hope you guys had some fun listening to it. So with that just about wraps up this edition of the Marine Layer Podcast. You guys know the drill. If you want to find all of our stuff, it's over at our website, marinelayerpod.com. Go get your merch. It's been awesome to see people wearing it. Summer's here. We're going to unveil some hats soon. We've got t-shirts for now. We still got hoodies and long sleeves. Go get your Marine Layer Pod merch. You can sign up for our Patreon over at our website. We'd love to have you get involved. You can look at our live show schedule, which, again, our next one is June 28th at 12 p.m. over at Occidental Hall. So all of that's up to date on our website. All our episodes are on our website. Again, it's a really awesome one-stop shop. That's marinelayerpod.com, and you can find us all across socials at Marine Layer Pod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.